Let's
Morning.
do it.
Howdy, ho ho, my good humans. How are you doing? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia, joined by the homie Geoffrey in the building. We got together 3 months ago to do our most anticipated games for, I forget what 3 months those were, but we're
Earlier
back.
part of the year.
We're back. We're back for the summer game preview, going over all of the games over the next 3 months. Geoffrey, how are you, my friend?
What's going on, man? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the channel. I know we haven't recorded something in a little bit, but I love talking to you, man. I was like craving talking about games with you. So I'm super pumped we're doing this together. So hello to everyone. Thanks for always being kind and having me on the channel. It really does mean a lot. And man, I'm excited to talk about games today. So we got a lot. So how are you doing, man? How are you feeling?
Doing good, man. I actually got a comment a couple weeks back, maybe a couple months back at this point. Someone was like, "Hey, man, you should get Geoffrey back on to do so." I was like, "Heck yeah, man!" And so we are here collabing again, and we
That
we're
was me.
talking.
That was me. It was,
You burner account.
I created like an alias account. I'm like, I just need to like sell myself real quickly. Hey, get that guy on. He's pretty good, right? No, I don't believe in myself enough for that, but whoever that was, thank you.
Yeah, man. And we got some content plans coming up in the future for you horror game fans. Stay tuned. A
Ooh,
little teaser.
spooky. Yeah,
But
dude.
we're going to be going over our most anticipated games from, let's see here, July to September.
Hmm.
So covering the next 3 months here. And I guess we can go ahead and get it started. Obviously,
Yeah.
for those of you who are in the know, kind of went through some stuff the last couple weeks, so we're a little bit late to the recording here, starting kind of mid-July. So earlier July we're not going to cover, but there really wasn't a whole lot. There was like that first Descendant game, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a ton. So we're kind of kicking it off at the perfect point, in my opinion. And
Agreed.
actually, the first game I have on my list is from July 11th, and
Okay.
that is Angerfoot.
What a great name for a game, right?
I swear to God, first person kicker.
First person, first person foot kicking game. So
Dude, it
tell me
just
about it, man. Tell me about it. I don't know much about this game. I've seen a trailer, so I'm excited to hear your, I couldn't think of a pun. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
yeah, I can't sit here and say I'm like overly passionate about it or anything. It's a Devolver game, so you know there's going to be like at least some level of quality. The art style, the kind of neon dripping aesthetic, it has a cool art style. I think the music's great. I know there was a demo out for this for a while, and people seem to really enjoy it. Unfortunately, only coming to PC right now, but I think this game's going to be a big hit, and it'll end up coming to console.
Yeah, we should say, I don't know if we mentioned, but like we did it the last time, so we're going off of the
Yep.
Game Informer's list. So for anyone that, wants to look at that, I'm sure that'll be linked. But yeah, it does just say PC, but you'd have to imagine with Devolver, they try so hard to get at least their popular indies, which is most of them that they publish out, at least on the very least Switch, but hopefully at least on like PlayStation or Xbox. But um, what would you even compare this game to? Because I can't tell if it's just like a straightforward game or is it more like a roguelite? Can you really tell? Like, cause I really can't watching the trailers.
I don't think it's a roguelike. I've looked
Okay.
up some details like on their Steam page and stuff. I don't believe I saw roguelike anywhere on there. I think it's just like
Nice.
a straightforward action game. I don't know. I'm curious, is it going to be brutally difficult? Is it going to have any story? I guess, a lot of that stuff remains to be seen. But I just think aesthetically, when you look at it, it's something that kind of jumps off the screen at you. And that's the thing I'm looking for more so these days than anything else is like what looks unique, and this definitely looks unique in my opinion.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I love that shout. That'll be so Angerfoot. Yeah. July 11th, PC, hopefully consoles. You'd have to imagine Devolver will do that one day, right? So,
Yeah, I would definitely think so. What do you have on? Did I is there anything before that that I skipped over?
so there is one that I just want to I don't have much to say, but it's one that I actually wouldn't have ever thought I'd play. But we've talked about this, I think, in the last recording about the power of demos, right? Like a demo
Yes.
really can shape if you're going to purchase a game. So the one I'm going to talk about just quickly is an RPG that I don't have any familiarity with the series. It's The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak, which came out on July 5th for the PlayStation's Switch and PC. So from what I know, the Legend of Heroes RPG series has been going on for a long time. It's from the Niham Falcom. They made like the Yeast RPG games. I do love a good RPG. I never played any of the Legend of Heroes games, but this Trails Through Daybreak, I was in kind of one of these quandaries where I finished a game, wanted to start a new game, but didn't want to buy a game and commit.
Hmm.
So interestingly, there was a demo at the beginning of July for this Trails Through Daybreak game. The demo was at like 5+ hours long. It's massive. I'm still not done with the demo yet, which shows how big it is. And it's basically an action slash turn-based RPG about like this dark organization in this like cool fantasy city. He plays this guy named Van, and he like takes on these requests from like citizens that don't get picked up by like the police or the guild. So he takes on these
Oh
shady
wow.
quests, and it's basically just an RPG. But I wanted to talk about it really quick because I would have never thought to play it unless it had a demo, and it blew me away. I'm so engrossed by the stories. The characters are really good. The blend of action and turn based actually works really well. So if you're looking for like a fun little RPG, it is a game I will plan on buying once I finish the demo, which is again the power of demos. So yeah, Legend of Heroes, Trails Through Daybreak. They have a demo. Check it out if you like RPGs.
Heck
Does
yeah.
that even sound like your cup of tea at all?
That's not really my lane, but especially because I know that the series is like 100 games long. I don't really know how long it is, but I hate jumping in midway through a series, but I didn't know it was a mixture of turn-based and action. That is definitely more appealing to me.
Yeah, man. So that was just
So,
one earlier one, but we can move forward to after this. So what do you? So what? Why don't do you want to go next with a game that's coming up?
yeah, let's go to July 16th here.
Okay.
Aerial Knights We Never Yield. So this is coming out
Hmm.
everywhere but the Switch, and it's being described as a parkour adventure game. And it can be played in couch co-op, which, I think that's always a welcome addition. Um, but yeah, it's like you think of these style of games like a Mirror's Edge. This is much more simplified than that. It kind of looks like a more complex Temple Run. If you remember the old iPhone game, like
Oh
it
my
looks,
gosh, what a throwback, man!
yeah,
If I didn't
it
feel
look
old before, now you did that.
it looks like a console version of what you would expect Temple Run to be on like a more powerful hardware. And it also has Blessing from Kind of Funny. He's like one of the main
Oh,
characters in it. So
nice.
got some good marketing tied into it out the gate. But yeah, Aerial Knights We Never Yield, releasing everywhere but Switch on July 16th.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember back in the day when I used to do a lot of indie game stuff. This is actually a follow-up. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
because I
really?
I feel like there was a game called Aerial Knights Never Yield, but like very similar name. And again, correct me if I'm wrong if anybody's in the comments or you look it up. I'm pretty sure this is a follow-up to an original game from a number of years ago because I feel like the creator was like this creator that was starting out like from Detroit and he wanted to like showcase some different parkour based running elements with like his like the culture that he was used to and stuff. I could be wrong, but it sounds like that. So I don't know if any of that sounds familiar to
Well,
anybody.
you're definitely on something because at the very beginning of the trailer, they say something to the effect of, "We're never going to get back to Detroit if we don't yada yada yada." So yeah, you definitely have some knowledge of it that it would seem that there probably was a previous entry in the series.
Good shout out, man. That does sound like cool. And we need more creative games like that. So
Absolutely. What do you want to shout out next, man?
I'm going to back up one day to July 15th and shout out Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah.
So this is, I believe, is already out on, I could be wrong. I believe it's already out on PC. Maybe it's just early access. I don't know. I'm not that smart. But no, Darkest Dungeon 2 is obviously the follow-up to Darkest Dungeon, which was this brutal gothic horror roguelite RPG permadeath thing, which aren't usually things that I like, but because of the gothic horror sensibilities, it's right up my alley. But the second game is coming out July 15th for the console. So PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Switch. But it's just basically from what I've gathered with this new one, it's a lot more robust. Where the first Darkest Dungeon sets you in like this one really oppressive, dark and spooky village, and you went out to the dungeons and just tried to like get your characters to progress through it. There was permadeath; they could like become insane, and they would take on different traits. It was really cool. Very hard, obviously. The second one just looks to build more off that, and I'm excited to just dive into. Although the challenge part does put me off quite a bit because I'm just not good at things. The spooky atmosphere looks like it's there in spades. Did you ever play the first Darkest Dungeon by chance?
I did not. No,
No.
this definitely not my lane of games. I heard it was brutal. And I was like, I'm good, man. I'm good. But
Okay.
no, I do know people adore that first title. So that's July 15th to console.
Yes. I would I know you don't like those kind of experiences, but I would, if you ever get a chance, I think it's on Game Pass, the first one, not the
Hmm.
second one, but you might like it because of the horror stuff. Like that, it's really deeply that gothic, moody, supernatural horror. So you might like it because of that, but you can let me know.
All right, I'll keep my eye on it, man. Um,
What do you
J
got?
July 17th here, we have Nobody Wants to Die. And this is that like cyberpunky Blade Runner-y kind of game. You're playing in this futuristic New York setting, and you're a detective. I believe you're using some form of like alien technology or something to solve a murder case. Graphically, it's stunning just from like a photorealistic perspective. The trailer doesn't really show me what's going to be fun about the actual gameplay, and that worries me. But
Okay.
if it is more in the lane of a walking sim style experience, maybe it's a really, really good story, and that'll be the thing that's compelling enough to see it through to the end. You get a flying car. It seems like you're actually able to pilot the flying car, so cool, I guess. But yeah,
What more could you
July
want?
July 17th, Nobody Wants to Die.
Does this one, do you know? I feel like I remember seeing a trailer about it. Does this have any horror elements from
Yeah,
what you can tell?
yeah. It
Okay.
Do you remember Observer,
That
the
was the
Bloober
Bloober
game?
team, right? Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
do remember that.
This very much feels like very inspired by that. It
Okay.
looks very similar gameplay wise. Uh, Maybe not so much thematically, but like it feels tonally connected to that style of experience. So yeah,
Nice.
I would say very similar. Not full blown horror, but detective horror.
Nice. Ooh, that sounds good. I'm not huge into like the whole cyberpunky type like atmosphere, but if it blends all those things nicely, then yeah, it could be a good one. Cool. That's a good shout, man.
What you
Um,
got?
yeah, I think I don't want to overstep yours because I feel like this is going to be one that you also have. But my biggest one for this month is July 18th, and that's Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn.
Okay.
So Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, from what I've gathered, I've watched a lot of trailers about it. It's what I gather from looking at it is if you've played a game like Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, or a Plague Tale, or Vampire, or those types of games, I know that those are all from Focus Interactive, Focus Entertainment. But if you like those double A kind of third person action adventure challenging games, then Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn kind of looks, it just gives me those vibes of those double A games that I know you and I both really, really, really love, especially games like Banishers, the Plague Tale and stuff like that. The one concern I have with Flintlock from what I've seen in like videos is that I think they're leaning into Souls-like territory, which we've talked about this. Personally, I'm so done with Souls-like. I'm just so tired of that train. They feel dried and worn out. And I know there's still unique ones like Lies of P and another Crab's Treasure, but like I don't know, man. I'm tired of Souls-like. I don't Not everything needs to be a Souls-like. We just need some good character games. And
Yes.
Flintlock looks like it's a kind of moving in that direction, but also skirting the line to like a third person character action set in a cool world. So it is coming to Game Pass day one, which is exciting. So we can try and see if it's like those double A games we love because it does look like it has magic and guns and melee and cool traversal. But I don't know, man. What are your thoughts based on like that, mix of elements?
Everything it looks so cool to me. The traversal looks fun. You're like zipping around, kind of flying through these little triangle sort of I don't even know what it is, but she's zipping through these little triangle objects and it looks fun, man. The traversal looks fun. You got a gun, like it looks fun. But then the Souls element. But I believe they're calling it a Souls Light, Lite. So it's like I I I don't know what that means. I don't know if I've heard that term before, but I know when, roguelite, it means kind of a lesser degree of difficulty and challenge, and you get to keep some of your upgrade. Like, so maybe Souls Light means I'm getting so tired of the term. It's not even the style of game, because here's the thing. is the term is putting me off of games. Whereas like people will say Stellar Blade is a Souls game, and it's like, no, that's like a character action game. That's just hard.
Right.
But it, I don't know. The term like the terminology just really needs to get fixed because
Yeah.
I if this isn't, stamina dependent and you're rolling around all the time, like if this is more of a character action game, dude, I'm all the way down for Flintlock. But if it's,
Yeah.
very slow, methodical, stamina based, rolling around, then I'm probably not down for Flintlocks. But like you said, it's coming to Game Pass, so hey, we can try it out without much risk.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with all that. We don't have to go on too big of a tangent, but I agree with you completely. The whole roguelite, souls like it's funny, those words, those buzzwords, because they are marketing buzzwords, just like Metroidvania could be, or open world is, or whatever. I'm like you. Whenever I hear that or see that, if I'm going to buy a game, I'm immediately turned off. And that's not to disparage those types of games, because there obviously is a massive subset of people that love those games. Again, look at Elden Ring being so popular. People adore Souls like experiences. But for me, and it sounds like for you, whenever those words pop up, I'm out. I just
Yeah.
want a game that's a game. Look at Evil West. That was just like a
A
gamey game,
game.
right?
Yeah.
Or even
Just a game.
Vanishers. That was just a game. Like, even it wasn't perfect. So what I've noticed, I think from the trailers, I think they've kind of taken a little bit of a step back from the whole Souls thing, because I think they have a difficulty selector, which already is going to make it mean you can have an easier experience. And I don't think there's a stamina bar from what I remember. So
Oh, okay.
I
That's it
think
for me.
I think the light aspect just means that there's some mechanics where like you might lose some currency or some whatever the power thing is, and it's meant to just be like a an explorable zone that you open up new areas. But at the end of the day, those words are becoming way too prevalent, and it ruins
Yeah.
games that people might otherwise like if they just want a character game. So anyway, whatever.
Yeah, if there's no stamina bar, I'm there. That's the biggest thing for me that'll put me off of a game. I hate stamina bars. Let me go. Go, 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 go. All offense, no
You want to
defense.
know the funniest thing? Did you realize? Because I was the stupid freaking dummy idiot that bought Skull and Bones for $70, because I'm
Ooh.
just a bummer weirdo. But like, I didn't even think about it. But like, Skull and Bones, you're in a pirate ship. You have stamina.
Oh my
Your ship
God.
has stamina, which I again you could kind of be like, oh yeah, there's people like moving the ship or whatever.
Yeah.
But like that, once realized that and it clicked in my head, I'm like, wait a minute, this is just dumb. Anyway,
Yeah, that's silly. I had no idea. Ship
yeah,
stamina. The Souls
yeah,
games have infiltrated ship stamina.
gotta love it, man. All right, well, what's next for you, man, in July?
Let's actually stay right there on that same day and actually staying with Game Pass as well. July 18th, Dungeons of Hinterberg coming to Xbox and PC only. So Xbox
Ooh,
seemingly grabbed this as a console exclusive. And that makes me think there might be something behind this. There might be like, this might be high enough quality to warrant some exclusivity, which is always, that's the thing. People get up in arms about exclusives. Whenever I see something exclusive like a Stellar Blade, I'm like, okay, it makes me more interested. A Rise of the Ronin, I'm like, huh, what does PlayStation see in this? What does Xbox see in Dungeons of Hinterberg? And
yeah.
I actually do think when you look at the gameplay, it just looks genuinely fun. You see your character like snowboarding around, like grinding on rails and stuff. And then the hack and slash combat, I don't think looks incredible, but you got this cute town to explore. I just think that like we were talking about a second ago with the nonstop Souls-like and roguelike and just these games that take themselves so seriously. This just seems like a chill video game. And yeah, July 18th, Dungeons of Hinterberg coming to Game Pass, Xbox, and PC.
Ooh, that's a good one, man. That was the other one I was thinking about talking about. So I'm glad you shouted that one out. Yeah, you gotta love those, like, again, those indie teams that are trying to kind of just do something a little different, not just in terms of the unique art style, because it's kind of like a sort of cell shaded cartoony, but also like comic booky to an extent, right? It's
Yeah.
pretty unique in that sense, but hopefully the gameplay matches it, because it does look it's hard. It looks a little unpolished sometimes, but it's hard to tell if that's part of like the art style, right? Or is that just like it looks a little bit janky, but maybe that's part of the charm, right?
It does look janky. I noticed that as well. That was kind of like as soon as you see it go into combat, you're like, ooh, this looks a little rough around the edges. But if it's chill, that's the thing for me. Like if it's not taking itself overly serious and it has some rough around the edges parts, but it's a good 6 hour experience with a cool story, a fun town to explore, some cool like extreme sports elements tied in there. Heck yeah.
Agreed, man. I'm excited for that. So the next one, I'm going to be honest, I don't have anything to say about it, but I'm just super intrigued by it. So this is coming on July 19th, and I'll probably butcher the name, but it's called Kunitsu Gami, Path of the Goddess. I don't know anything about this, but I keep seeing trailers, and I think yeah, I'm pretty sure it's coming to Game Pass day
Y-
one on July 19th, but it's also
Wow.
on, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just it just hit me. Dungeons of Hinterberg, Flintlock, and Path of the Goddess, all a day apart from one another, all on Game Pass.
Yeah, which is a huge win, but it is also coming to PlayStation 5 and PC. And there actually is a demo of this game, this Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, right now on PlayStation, but on an Xbox, which is strange. From what I gather, it looks like this 2000s era, like kind of Chinese, Japanese, mythical inspired, like hack and slashy game, I guess, with some elements of like Pikmin or something like that. I don't know much about it, but the art style looks cool. The combat and like the gameplay looks kind of like isometric-y, but like third person. And you're like in these cool mythical worlds. Reminds me of games from like the original Xbox days or something like that. Anyway, I'm just intrigued by it. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I am fascinated by this because when I first saw it, I'm thinking, okay, is this like Onimusha? Is this which Capcom game are they reviving here with this? And then it's a brand new IP that's kind of tower defensey, kind of
Huh.
strategic, kind of action adventure. Like really weird that Capcom's putting a bunch of money behind a new IP with this very kind of genre blending and kind of its own sort of genre that it's creating here. Or just outside of any genre specific lane. And yeah, I don't know. I get kind of Otage or the old FromSoft game.
I was just gonna ask you if you remember that game Otage. That's hilarious that you brought that up because no one talks about it. Yeah, it looks exactly like that vibe.
Yes, very similar vibes. And
Yeah.
yeah, just a real I love this. I love this even if the gameplay isn't for me. I don't know. I haven't played the demo yet. I've heard good things about the demo, but even if it's not for me, like I just love that Capcom is doing something really weird and unique with a new IP. And also, I
Yeah.
find it funny that you look at Exoprimal coming to Game Pass and then this coming to Game Pass, but nothing else from Capcom goes
Hmm.
to Game Pass day one. It's like they're very strategic
Hmm.
with their selection of what goes to Game Pass day one. It's like, okay, we got something unique, a new IP, something weird we want to throw out there and get that Game Pass money for it, just in case it doesn't necessarily fly off the store shelves.
Well, yeah, it almost makes sense for them. Like, not that we're like fancy business people, but it would make sense to like throw a new IP on Game Pass where it kind of, I guess, tests the water versus you put out a new Resident Evil, Resident Evil 9, whatever that's going to be. Of course, people are going to buy it, right? So it's also cool that they're developing and publishing it and they're greenlighting these projects, as you had mentioned, right? Like we saw so much of that in the 2000s, right? Just developers and publishers, specifically like EA and, Capcom, Activision, they were like greenlighting these wacky ideas. And we don't see a lot of that nowadays. So you're right. To have them do that for a game like this, we just need more of that. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll be cool, but who knows? It's a new
Yeah,
experience at the end of the day. So
absolutely. I'm very interested in it.
what
Do
do you
you have
got
any?
next?
I'm actually on to August, so if you have anything else in July that is standing out to you, go ahead and shout that out.
So I don't personally, but I have a question for you because this won't be my realm or genre or anything, but I know you're into this realm, the sports genre. I've heard a lot of excitement for EA Sports College Football 25, and I want to ask you about it because I don't play sports games. I don't know anything about sports. I'm kind of a dummy idiot, and but from other jobs that I do where I work on this stuff, I've covered some of this and heard about how popular this is going to be because it's been a long time. So do you have anything to kind of add about the new college football game?
Yeah, I totally blanked out on this because I had Path of the Goddess right below College Football 2025. So when we started talking about Path of the Goddess, I just completely blanked over College Football 2025. But yeah, this
Yeah,
is this is my most anticipated game of July for sure. I
nice.
Me and some buddies were all scheduling a weekend off together We're gonna get together, do a dynasty mode. We're gonna try to, meet each other in the playoffs, do some tournaments. I'm so excited for this, man. I'm so excited to get back in and do the recruiting with the dynasty and build up the players' interest in your school and then compete against the other teams and try to, have the best the best scouting class or the best recruiting class of that year. The road to glory modes, creating your player going in and having to keep your GPA high enough to stay on the field and also going to practice and competing for the position. And like, yeah, I love these games. It's been 10 years, man. 10 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm not like the biggest college football fan, but I love these games. And you would think I would be from Alabama with, just probably the I'm not saying this as a fan, like I'm not a Alabama football fan really, but probably
Right.
the greatest college football program of all time. And I
Wow.
not it still isn't something that I'm not sitting there every Saturday waiting for college football, but these games, dude,
Yeah.
because there's so much, they've always been so much better than Madden. The college football games were always so much better than Madden. I do
Absolutely.
worry, like this era of EA is not the early 2000s or mid 2000s, So I do worry that there's maybe a homogenization going on here where it's going to play just like Madden, look just like Madden. But from what we've seen, it looks faster, it looks quicker. The gameplay style feels more college football appropriate, where it's more option dependent and more kind of thinking on the fly, making quick reads and stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited for college football 2025. Also,
Yeah.
weird thing, only coming to current gen consoles. So it's not coming to
Wow.
PS4 and Xbox One and all that. So like, people talk a lot about um why it's taken so long for that PS4 user base to get over to PS5. You need games that are only available on PS5. There haven't been many at all. And so hopefully this will be one of those ones that gets people to transfer over.
I mean, I appreciate that you shared all that insight because I didn't have any knowledge about it beyond getting some coverage I had to do for it. But that was that once I knew about it, I was like, I have to ask you because I don't play these games. But everything I keep hearing about it is people are really, really, really pumped. So, and the fact that, like you said, they're bringing it only to new gen, considering it's EA where they want to like get every single dollar, that to me speaks that the publisher is very confident in the experience to the point where they're like, we don't need to just get money from the older consoles. We know that this is going to be a good experience. So that kind of seems like a really big win. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys will, really enjoy that. I'll be excited to hear what you think.
Yeah, dude, I'm beyond pumped for it. But
Sweet.
let's move on into August.
August. Goodness.
And there's August is pretty stacked, so we'll kind of power through this pretty quickly.
Jeez. It is.
Um, what do you have first for August?
Yeah, so the first one I'm going to shout out is for August 1st. I don't know too much about it, but I'm a sucker for a good art style and indie game. So August 1st, it's Thank Goodness You're Here. And this is coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. So thank goodness you're here, from what I've gathered. It's this like really super duper charming adventure game, I guess. I don't know if it's based off of like I'm pretty sure it's based off of some sort of like British or Irish or Welsh or something like comic or cartoon. I could be way wrong. Someone will tell me, I'm sure, but it's supposed to be like this mature, like kind of sassy and snarky, like comical adventure game, basically. So if you remember an indie game from a few years ago called The Big Con,
Yeah.
where it was kind of like this mature, like comical adventure game. That's kind of what this reminds me of, but it's set in this like cartoony village and it's all about interacting with characters and like helping them along. But it just looks hilarious. It looks really snarky and it just kind of reminds me of like Untitled Goose Game in the sense of it's not taking itself seriously and with that sort of adventure gameplay. So I'm pumped to check that out. I want a good laugh. My wife and I play a lot of these kind of games together for just a few hours of fun. So August 1st, yeah. Thank goodness you're here. That looks like a cool one. Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up Untitled Goose Game because whenever so behind the scenes here,
Ooh.
before these episodes, I try to record a lot of the gameplay footage to get that out the way. That way it makes the editing time less, less arduous. And with Thank Goodness You're Here, when I recorded the gameplay, what I saw at the beginning of the trailer was from the publisher of the Untitled Goose Game. So it's like,
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
even know
yeah.
that.
And so do you immediately drawing that comparison is I think you can see a lot of similarities just in the gameplay structure and that tone and I when you have a publisher who has an eye for this thing, that makes me more confident that the humor is going to land. You know what I mean? Untitled Goose Game took over the world in 2021, 2020, 2019, actually, I think,
Is
if I'm
it?
not, I
Wow.
think it was right before the pandemic, but
Jeez.
regardless, yeah, dude, this looks so fun. So absolutely. Thank goodness you're here.
Complete side note, but did you know, I just learned this morning. You know the little yellow handheld thing called the Playdate that
Yeah.
has the little crank? So I just realized and learned this morning that's from the people who made Untitled Goose Game, the publisher, I should say, not the developer's house, but that's the same people. They made the wacky little indie Playdate yellow console that you like twist the little thing that has a bunch of weird
Wow.
indies. So it is the same people, publisher wise, Panic. So that was just a funny little thing I learned this morning, but it's now appropriate to now. So.
Wow, that is it. I had no idea that that was, huh.
But it makes sense, right? The wackiness, the indies, the like kind of like humorous, like we're not going to take this seriously, but it's still cool and good. Anyway,
Yeah.
complete side note, but I thought it was funny. So,
Absolutely. Also, a weird little side note here about thank goodness you're here is it's coming everywhere but Xbox. So
yeah,
it'll be available on Switch, PC, PlayStation, even PS4, but not Xbox. Very bizarre.
that seems to
Um,
happen a lot though with like when games just PlayStation and Switch and not Xbox. I don't know if it's because of, I don't know what it's because of, but it is weird. That happens a lot.
yeah, I've heard some developers talk about it's either Game Pass or bust for Xbox. Like if they can't get their game on Game Pass, then they know that it's not going to sell all that well, so they end up not releasing so it, th- kind of feels like they've created a weird scenario for their platform where publishers and developers aren't wanting to put their games on there unless they get that Game Pass bag. So
Yeah.
is what it is. But thank goodness you're here August 1st. For me,
Hey
August
man,
1st was
thank
good.
goodness. Thank goodness you're here. All right. That's what I have to say. Thank goodness you're here. I don't care about the game. I care about that you're here, man. All
Fitting
right.
time, fitting time.
Sorry, go ahead. I had to throw it in there.
Staying on August 1st, Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I don't have a lot to say on this. I don't understand this whatsoever. I love the game, but it's already available on PS4 and Xbox One. Or I believe Xbox One. I know it's available on PS4. I believe it's available on PC as well. I have no idea. It doesn't look like they're remaking, remastering this in any notable way. It just looks like they're re-releasing a game that's already released on current platforms.
Huh.
Very, very weird. But yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, check it out. It's a dope ass game.
Wait, so wait, all right. I need you to fill me in on this. So there already is a version of this currently available, not just the old school version.
Yes, you can literally
What?
buy a physical copy of it for
Wait,
PS4.
what? So this is so what's the point of this then?
I have not even the slightest idea.
Okay.
I looked like whenever you pull up the trailer, they act like it's the first time it's ever been released.
What? That's so
And
weird.
nowhere in the trailer does it say like remade with, 4K 60 frame. Like it's just the same exact game seemingly.
So the Game Informer article I just looked really quickly it's very limited, but it does say that it's an enhanced edition. So it's not a
Mm.
remake, it's not a remaster, it's just an enhanced edition, which just might mean like a super simple HD gloss. But like, does it to you look just like the Xbox and like PlayStation 4 version?
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
exactly the same. And I mean it's because it's a PlayStation 2 game, and so you would think that whenever it got ported to the PS4 and Xbox One, that was kind of the enhanced edition because it's being up-res to meet the quality but I don't know, maybe they're fine-tuning a couple other things. I didn't really look a ton into it, but yeah, August 1st, it's a weird ordeal whenever because I'll have the trailer rolling and y'all
Right.
will see nowhere in the trailer, it's as far as I remember, does it talk anything about up-res,
Huh.
it doesn't talk about frame rate, anything like that. Very strange.
So weird. Do you have the PS2 original?
Yeah, I got the PS2, I got the PS4. I love the game.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. I haven't played it before, even the PS2 one. So I might have to try it just based on that you say it's a good game. So
Yeah, it's so fun. It's really hard, but it's super, super fun.
is it just like a third person action adventure game? Okay.
Yeah, it's very like jetpack dependent. You're roaming around with your jetpack nonstop. It's cool as hell.
Speaking of jetpack, I forgot to ask you about this a few weeks ago or whatever. Did you ever play the Xbox 360 slash PS3 jank game Dark Void?
Yes, played it and finished it like 2 years ago.
Did you like it?
I I did. It's janky for sure. I liked it a lot though.
It's funny. I just finished. I bought that for like a few bucks on the Xbox store because it's backwards compatible. For like $2 or $3 and played through it in like a few days. And that jetpack stuff, it's awesome. It's
It's
janky,
so
but it's so
fun.
fun just flying around the like sort of open areas with your jetpack and like blasting baddies. So I had to ask you about it because it was fun.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's Capcom, right?
Yeah, that once again, Capcom and their wacky ideas, man.
That's so crazy because they did Lost Planet as well.
Oh yeah, Lost Planet games were great, except for the third one. But
So weird, man. But
anyway, so jetpacks. We need more jetpack games.
we do. We do, absolutely. What you got next?
So I'm a weirdo, man. I like weird games, but I'm gonna go with Cat Quest 3
That ain't
from
weird.
August 8th. So obviously, if you can already guess Cat Quest 3, there must have been two Cat Quest games, unless you're Goat Simulator and you came out with Goat Simulator and then Goat Simulator 3 and no second game. But anyway, the Cat Quest games are super adorable and they're really fun. They're basically these like top-down isometric sort of ish, really cartoony, kind of like Saturday morning cartoon vibes. They're action RPGs, kind of like Legend of Zelda inspired, but they're in these like open worlds. And you just kind of like explore these like towns and overworlds like you would in Zelda, like these dungeons. And you, of course, play as a cat. You can also play as a dog, but it's all about just getting like equipment and armor and taking on quests. It's very simple, but they're always really fun. Every time I dive into one of these games, I'm always like really addicted to them because they kind of unfortunately have that mobile game feel where like they just keep teetering like a new reward or a new quest or something just on the horizon, but they're really charming and they're really playable and polished. Cat Quest 3 is more like a pirate themed one, which is really cool because we need more pirate games. There is a demo of this as well on PlayStation 5 or excuse me, on Nintendo Switch. And if you like the Cat Quest games, it's more Cat Quest, this time piratey. I don't know. It's a fun time for like 15, $20. So I'm excited to play that. Any interest in pirate cats?
Yeah, that ship combat, man. The ship combat looks so good. And I think the kind of I don't I don't know what to call it, kind of like board game-ish aesthetic. I know that's probably not the right term, but it looks so unique. I've never played any of the other games, but this looks genuinely good and releasing on all platforms, so anybody can pick this thing up and run with it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It looks really good.
I'm just a sucker for those kind of like cartoony games, man. So hey, if there's three of them now, they've got at least sold well enough to get to that point. So
Definitely.
all right,
Mm.
man. What's next for you for August, man? We got a stack month. I'm excited to see what's next for you.
I am gonna go August 7th. I'm gonna back up a day. I'm gonna go Creatures of Ava.
Okay.
And I believe this is being written by the lead writer from the Tomb Raider reboot series. And this definitely isn't in that vein of that style of game. This seems much more laid back. Um, I don't know if laid back's the right term because I think the whole idea of the narrative is like saving the world from some fucking plague or some shit. But you're going around trying to like round up animals and save them and trying to uncover the root of this disease. But it's not like there's really not any combat or anything, but they do have what it's not combat, but like the how you have to round up the animals and save them, you have to use some sort of weapon, not weapon. I don't really know what you call it, but it looks like a little gun that you're using, and they're trying to run away from you. So I don't know. It seems that they're doing something at least mildly interesting there with the gameplay, and yeah, it looks fun, chill. I think the environment looks incredible. Um, the environment that you're trying to save. So, August 7th, Creatures of Ava.
So is it like I don't know anything about this one. Is it like a creature collecting Pokemon type game, or is it more like like a life sim game, or more like an adventure? I don't really know anything about it. So what if you had to like compare it to something, what does it seem like
Yeah,
for anyone that hasn't heard of it?
I think it's more narrative driven. I think it's more like you're trying to, get these animals out of harm's way. And you're trying to, trying to deplague this world. I don't
Deeply.
really I don't really know oh, and weird here again. Xbox Series X and S and PC not coming to anything but Xbox and PC for the time
Huh,
being. So
interesting.
I wonder if that's a Game Pass title. I'm not too sure. I'm gonna look that up.
You would you would you would think so, just because again, it's
Yeah.
so I feel like why would you otherwise want to just be exclusive to Xbox in general? But
Yep.
maybe
It
it is.
Nope, it's coming to Game
No,
Pass August 7th. So yeah.
it is.
Yep, coming to Game Pass.
Nice. That's always a win, right? Just especially just to try out a game you don't know about.
Absolutely. Did you see that they're raising the prices of Game Pass?
I heard about that. What is the I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. What is the difference in price now for like the monthly or whatever?
I think
Do you know?
they're shooting it up $5, I believe, for Ultimate, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I think it's $22 a month for us now. I could be wrong on that.
I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like every single freaking subscription thing goes up like every year. So I mean, it
Yeah.
sucks, but what are you going to do about it, right? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, then stop subscribing, I guess.
Yeah. No, if it got to 30, I'd probably cut, but I'm fine with 22.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 30 is a lot. That's like, you're talking about how I look at it is because right now we're getting close to like what, $300 a month, or I mean
A
$300 a
year.
year.
Yeah.
Do I really get $300 worth of value out of it? Probably, but would I get $400 worth of value out of it? Like that's kind of,
Mm.
when you boil it down and you cut that, okay, $70 for a game. Okay, but a lot of the games I play on there are indies and they're more like 10, 15, $20.
Hmm.
I try to rationalize it a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think 30 is my breaking point. But right now, they're far from even getting near that point for me to cancel.
Huh, that's a good way to look at it. I didn't think about it that way, but that's because you're smarter. So.
What you got next, man?
I don't this wasn't like super my game jam back in the day, but I feel like it's worth shouting out, and I always mispronounce it. I don't know if it's Kina or Kana, Bridge of Spirits. I feel like the name people want to call it isn't the actual way to say it, but either whatever. Kana, Bridge of Spirits. It's interesting because this is coming to Xbox consoles on August 15th. And now why it's interesting is because this was one of those PlayStation exclusives that double A sort of action adventure, some Souls elements in this like really cartoony Pixar world. I did remember playing probably 8 7 8 hours of it back on PlayStation, but it just became too hard for me personally. But yeah, it's coming to Xbox. So again, just one of those interesting things that it was a PlayStation console exclusive, now making its way to Xbox, just like we're seeing with Xbox games going to PlayStation. It's just interesting to me, at least seeing that kind of open up a little bit more. So do you know if this is coming to Game Pass,
I don't
this Kenna
know.
Bridge of Spirits, or is it just
I can
or
look
is it
that up.
just Xbox in general? Also, did you play the PlayStation version?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really, really liked the game. Like you said,
Did
it's
you?
weirdly hard.
Well, it is technically a Souls game, that's why. So they just weren't calling it back then because it wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now, calling things that, but it is nowadays considered that. So that's why it's so hard.
Yeah, it's looking like
Um,
it's not coming to Game Pass. So just getting
so
the
strange.
port. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a good one to shout out. If that was one that again it has that Pixar cartoony style, it's very beautiful. Um, but yeah, it's coming to Xbox on the 15th. So if you missed it on PlayStation, hey, you liked it. It sounds like it's worth checking out. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna rapid fire run through
sure.
this one real quick. This is August 9th, The Crush House. This is a weirdo game about being a director of a dating reality show thing. So you're like creating challenges and you're trying to create like kind of trying to intentionally create drama so that the contestants are raising the ratings. So you're trying to make sure that people are tuning in, and then you're trying to put together all this chaos so that the ratings are doing well. I'm a sucker for like that early 2000s reality TV show era. Watched reality TV all the time as a kid on MTV with like Next and all that silly stuff. But yeah, this is just like instantly nostalgic to me. So it's only coming to PC for the time being, but I'll definitely play it if it does end up coming to PlayStation or Xbox.
And the publisher looks like it's Devolver. So
Yeah.
there you go again. They pick up some bangers. So
Yes, yes, yes. And then
nice.
it looks really, really high quality for this style of sim management game. I haven't really seen anything quite like this.
Nice. All right, the next one I'm going to do, I don't have much to say, but it's called Magical Delicacy for the Switch on August 15th. I'll be honest, I don't really play my Switch personally anymore unless it's just like a AAA game that comes out I play with my wife, but I hope it comes to other consoles. But from what I've gathered on the 15th, Magical Delicacy is a Metroidvania. It's like this 2D cozy Metroidvania mixed with a cooking game. And it reminded me of this game I played on the Switch back in launch, like 2017, 2018, called Battle Chef Brigade, which was this really cool, cartoony, again, like adventure platformer cooking game. And I don't really care about cooking games per se, but the blend of like a Metroidvania adventure with like these kind of cooking RPG elements, and in like this like witch kind of like supernatural story, not spooky, but it just looks really charming. The publisher is Whitethorn Digital, and they do kind of a lot of these cozy games, which I don't play as many nowadays. But it just looks really promising, and I hope it comes to other things but the Switch. But it does look just like one of those cute games to play. So, Magical Delicacy Switch, August 15th, looks pretty cool.
Nice. I'm going to stay right here in August 15th land as well for I Am Your Beast.
Yeah,
And
you are.
this is
That was a mistake. Well,
this is coming from Strange Scaffold, the team who made El Paso Elsewhere, one of my favorite games of 2023. And they're just absolute dogs over there, man. They work their asses off, constantly dropping new games. This is like a John Wick-ish style first-person shooter. The premise is that you're being hunted down by this special forces group company that you used to work for, and you would decline to do this one last job for them, and you're having to escape them. And it's like this brutal, brutal action game. You're throwing guns and first-person shooting, blood splattering everywhere. It just looks like nonstop chaos and kinetic action. Unfortunately, once again, only coming to PC and actually coming to PC and iOS.
huh.
So weird, but it'll come to console at some point, I'm sure.
I wonder if it's iOS, if it's an Apple Arcade game, because the Apple Arcade games are generally very, very good, a lot of them. So,
Yeah.
and they do end up coming to consoles. So hopefully that's the case with this one.
Yeah, I think that Little Orpheus game was an Apple Arcade game that was really, really highly regarded, and then it ended up coming to console. But yeah.
I remember you having higher marks for El Paso Elsewhere. I bought that game because of your recommendation. I've only put about an hour into it, but yeah, you're right. Those influences are cool. So hopefully I Am Your Beast has some like, I don't know, maybe similar vibes, maybe not the gameplay, right? But
Yeah, it'd be dope to have some bullet time mechanics in there in a first person shooter. That'd be super sick.
so I'm just gonna ask you about this game because I don't know if it's on your list for reasons we've talked about. August 20th, PS5, PC, Black Myth Wukong.
Absolutely.
Black Myth Wukong. So we've all seen the trailers. Many people thought it was just one of those tech demo-y games years ago that looked absolutely stunning. It's like this Journey to the West inspired character action game, Black Myth Wukong. I just want to know your thoughts on it because I'm very on the fence. What do you think about this?
I think it looks so, so sick. And
Okay.
from the previews that I've heard of people like actually playing it, one of the big takeaways is, oh shit, this is actually a real game. Like they're really doing this. It's as impressive as the trailers make it seem. And but I will say I heard Huber from Easy Allies say that it's much smaller than you would think. Like it's much more linear, kind of not level by level, but more of like a boss rush style game. I believe
Huh.
I heard there were like 80 bosses in this
Wow.
game. So
Gosh.
I don't think it's really like going to be this big, expansive, beautiful world that you're going around like I, but Final Fantasy 16, in my opinion, the worst part of that game was when it opened up. When it
Hmm.
was more on rails and more guided and more kind of boss rushy, that was like the spectacle of that game. Those were the best parts of that game. So if it's just more of that and leaning into that 100%, absolutely sign me up. But the fact that they're able to even pull off what those trailers initially indicated, that's crazy to me.
And the good news is, because everyone was thinking it's going to be again another Souls
Yes.
experience. It's not. It's apparently it's just a again, as you said, like an adventure action game, maybe boss rush, but it's not. It looks like it'd be like a Sekiro or Wolong Fallen Dynasty. But the good news for us that don't care about those games, it's supposed to just be a good old freaking game that doesn't have those mechanics. So that's a huge win, especially on top of how fluid it looks. It looks it looks freaking gorgeous. So and PS5 console exclusive, which generally speaking, means there's a high bar of quality, generally speaking.
Yeah, that's a really weird thing where they put out a statement saying like it's going to come to Xbox, but they're having some optimization issues. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming the Series S might be hurting it a little bit there of getting it out on the same day. Also weird, they're having some trouble with their physical release.
Huh.
They were saying that it's going to have a download, you're going to have to download the game, and then they were like, no, we there was some mixed messaging there. We're working it out, and now I can't even figure out a way to like buy the physical release. I have no
Huh.
idea what's going on with that thing.
Hopefully it gets ironed out at some point because I know you love your physical releases. So
Absolutely. And for a big game like that, it for it not to be physical would be really, really weird. But saw it last year with Alan Wake. But regardless, man, August 16th, got a quick shout out Madden NFL 2025. I know people hate the Madden games, and I definitely agree they're not what they once were, but I'm a sucker for the damn mini games. And last year they brought back the 40-yard dash and the bench press, and they had a decent like combine section for your career mode. And supposedly they're really leaning into that this year. They're adding in 26 new mini games and putting a ton of emphasis on that combine, and like that'll elevate or lower your draft stock. And so I listen, I will never buy this game day one, but it is a game in November when it's already half price. I'll pick that bad boy up.
nice. Well, yeah, it is interesting how college football is releasing in July, and then you get this in August, and it's going to be interesting to see if college football dethrones Madden because there really hasn't been competition, even though they're different types, right? So that'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
it's weird because like Madden Madden's going to be available on all platforms. So I think it might still outsell college football, but I don't know. The
Mm.
hype level for that college football game is through the roof. And also with the college football game, you'll be able to now import your career mode player into Madden. So once you finish your career in college football, you can take that player, put him into Madden and start your career in the big leagues. So that's a
Nice.
cool little feature.
That is. Nice. So I'm going to be jumping to the end of the month. I only really have two more that are sticking out to me. The first one, I can't help but laugh because every time I see this, I laugh. It's Squirrel with a Gun.
Yeah.
What is the game? It's a freaking squirrel with a real like sized gun. There's no other like ifs, ands, or but about it. If you've seen the trailers, they're super janky. They're definitely, goat simulator style, but you're walking around this crazy world as a freaking adorable squirrel with like a handgun and crap. And I don't know if there's a story. I don't know, but it just looks so bananas. On the little sheet that we have, it shows it's only coming to PC on August 29th. However, when you look at like the little bit more info on Game Informer, it does say it's coming later in 2024 to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, which is interesting. Only newer gen. So yeah, Squirrel with a Gun looks super bonkers, but man, I just want to laugh at a game like that. So end of August, maybe later in the year for other platforms. Squirrel with a Gun. Why
Absolutely.
not? Why the heck not?
So silly, so fun. Just a little mean game. You know, I get it, but it's gonna be silly. And it's weird you can actually pre-order the physical copy on Best Buy because like I go through Best Buy nonstop and just look through the upcoming games. It's literally a squirrel holding a big ol' ass pistol on the cover.
I can't believe they're doing a physical. Like you would think a game like this wouldn't. So how awesome that
Right.
you can get a physical of that. Wow.
Yeah, that's one I'm definitely going to be picking up.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
jump
man.
back
Sure.
to August 20th. Um, and I want to shout out this Dustborn game. So this is like a Telltale style choose your own adventure game, but there's combat in it. So that's like a pretty big step in a new direction for that genre. The combat, I will say, doesn't look particularly fun, but I'm open to the idea. I love a good chill game where you're making decisions and there's actually, some sort of impact on the narrative based upon what you chose. If it can lean into that and actually land there, I'll be satisfied. If the combat's at least somewhat decent, I'll be satisfied there. But yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people are bagging on this game right now because it's a political title. It's got some politics in there, and then people don't like their politics in games, although Metal Gear Solid was entirely political and BioShock is entirely political. And I don't know, it is what it is. And I will say that this does look very this I will, to be fair to the people who are bagging on it, this does feel like one of those games that could get pretty damn annoying because it seems like Twitter brought to life in game form where it's like, dude, come on, your entire personality can't be this. Like you got to have some sort of personality outside of this. But if it's a good choose your own adventure game, I'm a sucker for a good choose your own adventure game, making some decisions, and I'm curious to see how the combat ties into there because you rarely ever see that in this genre of adventure game.
That is a unique combination. I didn't realize it's a combo. But, with the political stuff, at the end of the day, it's like games are art, right? We look at games as art. Any type of art form is going to have the creators can potentially have the creator's injection of what they feel, right? Whether that's a movie,
Yeah.
TV show, comic book, game. Like at the end of the day, if you tried or you hear about that it doesn't jive with what you think or whatever, that's fine. Just don't play it. Or like just you don't have to like lose your mind. Like people lose their mind. There's plenty of games that come out and I'm like, man, I wish they didn't go this way with the narrative direction, which is a lot of games nowadays. But listen, at the end of the day, like just don't play it or play something else. There's plenty of other experiences. So like we don't need to get up in arms about it, right? So
Well, and it's a funny thing with just what you said, where like you'll play a game and you don't agree with it, but you're like, I'm just playing a game. Like I don't I talk to people every day that I disagree with, and it's like it's just a conversation. We're gonna have a new conversation about something else that we'll agree on. Like I don't know. Yeah, I not to go down a full diatribe there, but it's like
yeah.
why are we so angry, man? Like let's chill out a little bit. Like you could have a really cool, fun gameplay experience and not agree with the narrative at all. Like it is what it is, man.
Yeah, just enjoy it or just find a part of the game that you like. If that part doesn't jive and it doesn't put you off too much, maybe you'll really love the gameplay part, right? So you can kind of skip the story if you really like the gameplay. So like there's always ways to like appreciate the art form even if you don't jive with all of it. So like I didn't know that about this game, so that's interesting that you brought that up. Must be a pretty big part of the topic, obviously. So
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like exactly what you said. I'm so curious about the art form, where it's like
yeah.
the idea of fusing in combat into this genre is that's not done often at all. So like I really want to see how that pans out. And it's like real combat, not quick time events. It's like,
Hmm.
hacking and slashing. And so yeah, I'm very, very curious about it. But yeah, August 20th,
Nice.
Dustborn.
Nice. So I only have one more personally. I'll just shout it out at the end of August. Again, it's August 29th. It's Visions of Mana. I don't have much time to play RPGs anymore. If anyone knows, the Mana series has been long running for decades now. The Visions of Mana is the newest entry. It's a brand new one, fully beautiful 3D graphics, just action adventure RPG with, quirky anime cartoon characters. I wish I could dive more into RPGs nowadays. My time is so limited to sit down and play a game, but Visions of Mana is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, all the Xboxes, PlayStations, and PC on August 29th. It just looks really fun, really polished. I played the previous one, which I believe was called Trials of Mana back on PlayStation 4. Really enjoyed a big part of it. So if you like those anime inspired, colorful RPGs in the long running series like this, Visions of Mana does look really, really good. So it's one I'm personally pretty pumped for.
Yeah, they got a significant budget increase
Yeah.
from the Trials of Mana to this. This is like legit. This looks expensive, man. It looks really, really good. Happy to see Square putting some money behind this thing. I here's the issue, and I'll go ahead and we'll jump down a bit. Unfortunately for Visions of Mana, I really want to play that game, but on August 30th, Star Wars Outlaws comes out. So it's like I I know Visions of Mana is probably going to be 20 plus hours. Star Wars Outlaws is going to be 20 plus hours. And sometimes I'll just go ahead and buy both, but I don't know, man. Often because like I bought Sandland and Stellar Blade,
Right.
and they both released on the same day. And I played through Stellar Blade, finished that, but then, I I jump into Sandland and it's like by the time I get to Sandland, something else is coming out that I'm interested in, or your attention gets put. So I don't know if I'm going to pick up Visions of Man. I want to support it because I want to see Square invest more money in to some of their more niche franchises like a Parasite Eve down the road, or you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, August 30th, Star Wars Outlaws. I'll be consumed by that. I'll be totally consumed by that. As long as it's not a totally buggy mess, that'll be my game for August, or well, at the end of August, so into September. This is what I've always dreamed about for Star Wars, being able to be a Han Solo-esque character and being the scoundrel and having kind of a GTA wanted system in there and a reputation system. And okay, I'm going to go over here and side with this faction for a bit. And now I'm going to betray them. And then my reputation's going to increase for this other faction, but lower for this one. And now like all of that stuff and just being able to hop on your speeder bike flying around and then get onto your ship and engage in aerial combat. Like This looks so, so good. If it doesn't come out a total buggy mess, I'm so, so sold on Star Wars Outlaws. I just really hope they stick the landing.
How are you feeling confidence wise about it? Because they haven't pushed anything yet, which is usually pretty good sign, but this is a big ambitious game because it's kind of like where they picked up from, feels like where they picked up from that Star Wars 1313. Remember where people were really hyped for
Right.
that back in the day? I've heard this is leaning more towards like an Uncharted style
Yeah.
game versus just like another open world per se. How do you feel like confidence wise seeing what they've put out from Summer Games Fest or just seeing trailers and interviews? As a Star Wars fan, how do you feel it is coming together in your opinion? Because I'm not a
Well,
Star Wars guy, so I don't have much to say on this. So
it's
are you feeling
funny.
confident?
Yeah, it's funny. The thing that like a lot of people were using as negatives when they were doing the previews, which most previews, pretty much every preview I saw was, I would say, I don't know how to do this, but like I would say a 7 out of 10 or higher in terms of like their, if I was to grade their hype level based on the wording of what was written, I would say most people were at least like a 7 out of 10 or higher. And the people who were lower than that, one of the main criticisms they would throw at the game was that it felt a lot like Uncharted, and it was
Mm.
very simple and chill. And I'm like, this is music to my ears. Keep it coming. Simple, chill, old school video game. Like that's what I love that. And I don't want a game to really like take over my life and become some chore. I want a couple hours to chill out and have fun. And this just seems to be leaning into the fun elements of Star Wars. And I, my so this is being made by the team that made Avatar last year, massive, the team that made The Division. And
Oh,
so
interesting. Okay.
they have the expertise for that third person cover shooting and stuff. So I think that'll be rock solid. Avatar was really, really bland. The story was really, really bland. And I do worry about that here because Star Wars is so story dependent. And from everything I've seen so far, like that main character, and this isn't one of those weird, Twitter incel things where it's like she's not hot enough, da da da, like screaming. It's not that. The character model just doesn't look good. Like it's not a
Right.
well crafted character model, and it's like I don't really want to play as this main character because y'all didn't take the time to make this main character like it. Ubisoft character models are awful, man. I don't
Yeah.
understand why they're so far behind everyone else in the AAA space.
Hmm.
But regardless of all that, I can totally put that aside if the gameplay's fun and if the story's good. Am I confident about the story being good? Not so much, but
Hmm.
I am pretty confident that the gameplay will be fun because even Avatar, which is a first person shooter, like the gameplay was excellent in that.
Hmm.
So I am confident that the gameplay will be fun.
Nice. That's awesome. It's funny as someone that's not a Star Wars person at all, this is the first game I didn't care about the Jedi. Like I tried Jedi Fallen Order, it was fine. I just don't again, I don't like Star Wars, so like I just didn't jive with the Jedi games, but this is the first one in probably since I mean I can't remember that I'm really actually excited to want to pick up and play for the exact reasons you said. A potentially more linear, even though there's like open areas and stuff, Uncharted style game, because that to me screams more of like a focused experience versus just, well, here you go, figure it all out. So as a non-fan, it looks really cool.
Yeah,
Will it be a day one for me? No, but like I will be playing this at some point. So it does look promising for sure.
and that's the thing. It is open world, like it's fully
Is it?
open world,
Okay.
but I they're much smaller open world sections. So like it's more about smaller detailed worlds that you can freely traverse between all of.
Hmm.
So like you can go anywhere at any time, hop on your ship, fly immediately to a different planet, roam around. Like it is open world, but they're
Okay.
smaller and more densely packed, more detail rich world. So
Nice.
yeah. But shout out to Star Wars Outlaws. That's August 30th. And that's coming to, I think, just next gen, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'm pretty sure, which is good because again, we need more of those. Yeah, it looks like just PS5 series and PC, which again is a great thing because that's going to be able to take more advantage of the hardware, obviously. So,
Absolutely. Quick
uh,
shout out before we hop out of August.
please, yeah, go ahead.
Concord, August 23rd. This is going to be a shit show. I don't know. I
Okay.
really don't know.
Wow, wait. So, okay, you're shouting it out because you don't think it's going to be good, right?
Yeah, just like a notable release that's coming out in August. I don't have high expectations for it at
Is
all.
it notable? Do you really? Oh, yeah, you really think this is a notable release? This is
Well,
going to be like a disaster.
that's the thing, Jeffrey, is like I feel that way too, but I don't know. Sometimes I gotta like step aside because I don't understand this genre. And like I'm just shouting it out. This is the first party PlayStation release of the year. If I'm not I could be mistaken. I could be forgetting something, but Helldivers 2 second party, Rise of the Ronin third party,
Yeah,
Stellar Blade third party, um,
yeah, yeah,
which I
yeah.
think
Okay,
that
touche, touche.
yeah, they might have actually funded Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin, so that could be second party, and I don't know if they own the IP for either. Regardless, this is the
Yeah.
first party release from PlayStation all year,
Okay.
and the weird thing about it is like I when I saw Helldivers 2, I was like, ah, okay, this will be whatever. And it's like the biggest hit of the year. So I
Yeah.
don't really I don't trust my own judgment with this service based, either hero shooter. I don't trust my judgment because I don't know these games at all. So I
Okay.
just wanted to shout it out and be like, hey, it is coming out August 23rd, PlayStation 5, PC. Am I gonna play it? Do I have any expectation or any excitement for it? No.
Okay.
But it is at least a big release that's getting hundreds of millions of dollars put into it.
No, you're okay. You're right. That's a fair point. It's just funny to hear you. I guess just in my mind, the little I know of what games you type of play to hear you talk about it. But when you set aside what you play versus, I mean, I guess that's the same reason I shout out sports stuff. I don't know anything
Right.
about it or care about it, but they are obviously big releases. It's just hard not to see. Listen, I want to say I don't want any game to fail. As someone that like buys into games and does this for a living, like I don't want games to fail, period, even if I don't care about what they are. But it's so hard not to see Concord as a cynical cash incentive, business suit driven thing. It just looks like every other shooter hero thing, like Overwatch, like it just screams cynicism. Like it just doesn't feel, and that's not to say there's not going to be artistic merit or personality or care put into it, because I'm sure there is, but it's so hard to be excited about that. But you know what? Maybe you hit the nail on the head. There are those people that live and breathe Overwatch, and maybe they're ready for something new. So maybe you're right. Maybe taking that step back is the right thing to do. And honestly, hopefully it does do well, because maybe that's going to mean there's a subset of players that need an experience like that. That's not driven by Blizzard or Activision, that are doing a lot of really terrible things with Overwatch. So, hey, I don't
Yeah.
know what else to say.
I'm so hey, Sony needs a couple of these to really hit and fund the single player games. So I'm for it. If that can mean more, high quality Naughty Dog games and Sucker Punch games and
Fair.
whatever, let them teams do what they do. All right. So we now move into September. And did I go last or did you go last on the shout outs?
I don't know. Go ahead. It's your
Okay.
channel, so you should go.
September 3rd is the first one that's hopping off the page for me, and that's Parcel Corpse. Coming to everything but Switch, playing as a delivery guy on your bicycle, delivering packages. And yeah, it's like a 3D freeform biking game, kind of jet set radio-ish from the look and the world, like the character models and all that. Always down for a new extreme sports game. We get so few these days. So absolutely, absolutely Parcel Corpse. And I forgot to write down what that was coming to. Do you have that pulled up?
Yeah, so it's looks like it's coming September 3rd to PS. So it is just PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. So just a next gen title,
Huh.
which is
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Kind of like old school Paperboy meets Tony Hawk meets Jet Set, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is very unique looking. Um, heck yeah. Parcel Corp. September
Nice.
3rd.
Yeah, baby. I will say September is a huge month, at least for me
Yeah.
personally. There's so many that like I want to choose as my most anticipated, but I'm just gonna hop right to the big one, at least for me, which is September 6th, PS5 only. It's freaking Astrobot. I cannot tell you how freaking pumped I am for Astrobot. So people might be like, okay, whatever, it's just a platformer. If you never played Astrobot on PS5, Astrobot Rescue Mission, I should say, the pack-in PS5 game. It's
Yes.
phenomenal. Like it is truly phenomenal, especially if you consider yourself both a PlayStation fan and a platforming fan. The way that the controller and the whole haptics and like the vibration is integrated into the way you explore each of these levels, it's just a traditional 3D platformer, a bite-sized version, but it's so darn polished and good. So Astrobot is a full-on game. They're basically taking Rescue Mission and making it an entire experience blown out into a massive 3D platforming game, which is just bonkers because you don't really see that outside of Nintendo. You don't see that outside of your Marios and things like that. So to see Sony and Team Asobi taking this chance, it is Team Asobi, right?
Yep.
Team
Yep.
Asobi making a full-on 3D platforming game with Astrobot, where it's going to be expanded and bigger worlds, more to do, more to see. It just looks absolutely incredible. So Astrobot PS5, September 6th, absolutely one of my biggest games of the year. I cannot wait to dive into it.
Well, dude, and that's the thing is like, it looks about as good as a 3D platformer can possibly look. It's like Nintendo level of quality from that trailer. I don't know, but it just looks so good. And I hate to go all business minded here, but I just wonder what the expectations are inside of, you know, Sony, inside of PlayStation. Like what are they expecting this to sell? Because I feel like if this can sell like 2-3 million copies, that's a smash hit for a 3D platformer, a non-Nintendo 3D platformer in 2024. So I'm hoping expectations aren't too high. I don't think they are though. I don't think I don't think they're looking for 20 million copies sold or anything. Like I don't think they're looking at because I wonder, does Astro have that mass market appeal? And I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like, you
it
think
does.
so?
It's not going to be up there with the likes of your Marios, of course, that have been around, but like everything that I hear, I mean, you can kind of get some sort of a gauge or vibe, especially with a platformer on other consoles, if it's being talked about at all. Not that being talked about means it's going to sell well, but there's just this energy and this vibe and this zeitgeist, at least in the circles I've seen, where people are so gung ho for a non-Nintendo big scale, large budget 3D platformer. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if it didn't sell millions and millions of copies. I bet their expectations are lower, but like I do think this is going to be one of the biggest selling games of the year. As crazy as that might sound, there's just huge energy around it.
Yeah, dude, I hope so. I definitely hope so. Because like then you're talking about your Sly Coopers possibly coming
Mm.
back, and yeah, absolutely, man. It looks
Yeah,
so
man.
good. I'm gonna go back a day to September 5th. Got to shout out Stalker 2. I think this has a potential to be another real big one. Coming to Xbox and PC only at launch, so that's gonna limit it a little bit in terms of the player base. Supposedly it's coming to PS5 soon, but I feel like this is one of those games that's either going to be like a smash hit, or it's going to be a little bit on the buggy side and kind of passed over. But something tells me this might end up, and I might be crazy. Something tells me this might end up as like a final six for game of the year.
Wow.
I mean, you don't want to factor in outside influence of like the whole story of the team and Ukraine and going through the war and still developing the game and persevering and like that, because that's not judging the game for the game itself, but it's hard to separate the some of the real personal stories, that the developers went through and stuff. So it's like if they can get this out and it's not totally busted, that in and of itself is going to be crazy. But then when you look at the trailer, like you're seeing these dynamic world events and dynamic weather and like these tornadoes sweeping through the city. And like it just looks so impressive on a visual level. I know it's going to be brutally hard. It'll probably definitely skill check me right out of the game pretty quickly. But yeah, you don't see games that look this good often at all, and it looks really high quality. So Stalker 2, PC,
That's
Xbox.
Xbox. That's the new console. Xbox. You heard it here. Xbox.
September 5th, Stalker 2. I think it has GOTY potential. We'll see.
You're probably right. I mean, weren't I never played the original ones, and I know they kind of like they brought them back to kind of like they remastered or remade, or not remade, but remastered them, right? Like the older ones to play
Yeah.
earlier in the year. People really adore the older ones, right? From what I've gathered, like it's a subset of players, but they really seem to be quite beloved. Is that Have you heard that
Yeah,
or feel that?
absolutely. It seems like people who love Stalker, like on a different level than like Metro and other games of this ilk. This seems to have like a real fervor. The fan base is maybe not the largest fan base, but one of the more passionate ones.
Here's let's hope it does do the as well as you're saying, because again, it's just we need more games like that that are not necessarily trying something different, but they're different enough that even though it's in the same similar series, we need more games that are willing to experiment more. And this does seem like it's still going into that territory. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely not your average everyday first person shooter. That's
no,
for sure. That's very apparent.
agreed, man. No, that looks awesome. There's so many I want to talk about in here, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to move on to one that I don't know much about, but I'm really intrigued by. This is on September 13th, and this is called Demon School. So this is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PS4, Switch, and PC. Again, it's called Demon School. So I don't play many like life simmy games but anymore, but what this looks like, Demon School, if you can't guess from the name, you're actually in this like mysterious university life on a mysterious island, but all about demons and supernatural entities. But it is a tactics RPG, which that's not my jam. I don't like tactics games or strategy games, not because they're not good, but because I'm just too stupid to figure out how to play them well. But this looks like this blending of like life sim, university, demon, supernatural with like an RPG and like narrative stuff. And it just sounds like such a cool blend of things for me personally that I had to shout it out, because I think we need more of those unique takes on not only RPGs, but kind of the narrative life sims. And this one set in kind of like a demonically infested supernatural school. So, yes. So Demon School, September 13th, all consoles and PC. Looks pretty dope.
Yeah,
Do the kids
nice.
say dope anymore? Is that a cool word? Am I just too
I,
out of touch to say dope?
I still
Whatever.
say
It's dope.
dope.
Word up, bro.
I'm 30 years old saying dope. Probably need to
Cool.
expand my vocabulary. But yeah, I never heard of this. That I
Yeah.
got it on my radar now. Good shout out. I'm gonna go back a day to September 12th for Wild Bastards. And this is coming from the team who made Void Bastards, of course. It's
Ah.
another roguelike, unfortunately, but it is a first person shooter. I never played the first game, but I'm curious about Wild Bastards. I just think the animation quality here is like tip top. It doesn't get much better than this. It looks really, really good. The gameplay looks fun, super strategic from a first person shooter that you really don't see often. Um, like we've talked about 100 times, definitely burned out with the roguelike genre. But I'm going to throw my bias on the table here. This is getting a physical release, so I kind of want to just support it just for the sake that it's indie games are getting fewer and fewer physical releases, man. And so when I see one, it's like, golly, I want to put my money where my mouth is, and I don't know. I really there's some cool things about this. Like I like the idea that you have this band of outlaws, and you have to like manage the relationships of the outlaws with you and with each other, and like there's skill trees, and like you're managing and tinkering with all that different stuff. There's some cool stuff about Wild Bastards outside of the first person shooter and roguelike experience. So yeah, I just want to give it a quick shout out. September 12th.
Nice. That sounds cool. I know people really liked Void Bastards. I remember playing a couple
Yeah.
hours and it was fun. Did you jive with Void Bastards back in the day?
I never played it. I never played Void
You
Bastards.
didn't?
So this will be my first and I know it's similar first person shooter roguelike. I think it's very, very similar, but yeah, this will be my first time ever checking it out. And I am gonna pick it up because once again, the bias there for the physical stuff, but it's only current gen systems as well. Oh, actually no, it's coming to Switch, but only current gen, PlayStation 5, Series X and S, and then Switch and PC on September 12th.
I mean, to be fair, Switch is current gen until the next Switch comes out. Even though it doesn't compare with any of them, it's still technically current gen until that we get a whatever successor next year.
So
So
weird. So weird,
for better or worse,
Nintendo.
but
Absolutely.
I don't have anything to say about this other than I just feel like it's worth mentioning from a personal level. So I don't play VR, but on PSVR 2, which apparently doesn't get a lot of games, September 13th, Slender the Arrival. So I don't play VR. I can't tell you anything about VR because it'll make me vomit. But Slender the Arrival, as far as a horror game, for me was downright terrifying. It was one of the scariest games I played back in the day. But yeah, so there is a VR version for PSVR 2 coming September 13th. I just want to put it on radars. If you missed the original version of that. It's a very scary game if you like that first person horror vibe. And I think this will probably be pretty immersive in VR too. But again, I don't know about that personally. Just felt like it
Yeah.
was worth a quick mention. So
VR, man, needs all the games it can get.
yeah.
Sept September 16th, I'm going to move on to Phoenix Springs.
Mhm.
And this is a point and click game with, I feel like I say this about all the indie titles, but the art style here, once again, is it's just, it, I hate to keep using the word unique, but it is so unique. And I can't figure out, it reminds me of something, but I can't figure out what it reminds me of. But they say one of the key things that they point out here is that there's never like arbitrary obstacles for the puzzles and shit. Their Steam
Hmm.
page reads, conduct your investigation by collecting clues and leads in your inventory rather than physical objects. So like you're keeping a stockpile of memories and information and then connecting the information in your head opposed to, okay, I need this key, I need this thing, I need this wrench, I need this valve. Like it's all about the knowledge that you obtain throughout the experience. And
Hmm.
yeah, I let's see here. Disregard false leads and red herrings as you solve logical puzzles designed to challenge and delight fans of story-rich interactive experiences.
Hmm.
So yeah, dude, it looks so different. And point and click games can be hit or miss with me, but this kind of leaning into a totally different angle than I've ever seen before makes me interested in it. That is Phoenix Springs. Once again, I think that's only PC for the time being, but hopefully it'll get a console release later.
This is what I love talking about games with you because the like the difference in taste of how you will, again, you talk about the sport games or like the FPSs, then you go to these smaller narrative focused indie games. Like I just love that you have this roller coaster of like different tastes, which is cool because it's so many of us or so many people can get pigeonholed into just liking a certain genre and not even being willing to try like a out of the box or indie experience. But once you do, you often find some that are really, really engaging. And so this one sounds like one of those ones that maybe not everyone will try, especially if it's point and click, which doesn't jive all the time, might just make you like a fan of the genre in general, or could.
Yeah, that's the thing is like there's going to be genres that everybody dislikes. Like, we've talked about Souls-likes and roguelikes and even like strategy RPGs and tactics RPGs. Like there's genres that just don't vibe with me really. But even it just turn-based games in general I don't really like. But I still want to try, because there's always going to be a couple that like, oh damn, Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age. Like I hate the combat, but man, the story is so good that I deal with it because it's worth that. I think the story is worth dealing with the combat, in my opinion. And that's the same. Norco is one of my favorite games of the last few years. I shouldn't say that. It's a really good game from the last few years, and I'm not crazy about point and click games, but the narrative is so good. So it's yeah, I would just say try stuff. You know what I mean? Like try things that are a little bit outside of
Yeah.
your comfort zone because everybody can get like you said, everybody can get pigeonholed into like, okay, I'm comfortable here. This is what I play, but there's so much good stuff outside of that. And especially something like I'm not saying Phoenix Springs, it's not coming to Game Pass, but like games that are coming to Game Pass, that's how I think about all the time where it's something new. I just download it and I play it for an hour and I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. Cool, I'm out. And then
Yeah.
sometimes like a Norco or something, I'm like, oh, this is absolutely up my alley. So yeah.
Yeah. Well said. That would actually be a good topic we should file away for another type of video is games, either games that got us into a new genre or like games that we enjoy because of a reason you wouldn't expect. Like those kind of topics would be really fascinating. Just like you said with point and clicks or whatever type of experience. That could be a cool topic. So
Yeah, just that whole idea of like breaking out of the comfort zone of your gaming habits. I think I do, yeah, there's a ton that we could expand on there for sure.
Yeah, man. So this one for me is as much as I'm really, really, really jazzed for Astrobot. This is probably the one that I'm actually most excited for, if I'm honest, for September, and it's Harry Potter Quidditch Champions.
Wow.
I'm the biggest Harry Potter fan. I love everything Harry Potter. Hogwarts Legacy was my game of 2023. It's in my top three games of all time. I mean, I have a bunch of Harry Potter crap back there. So for me, anything Harry Potter in terms of games is going to be a winner. So I will say this Quidditch focus game, the art style isn't completely jiving with me. It does look a little, I don't know. It doesn't quite sit in terms of like how it looks. But as far as the gameplay itself, I mean, I have my copy of like Quidditch World Champions from the GameCube. I just adore anything Harry Potter. So for me, they look, from what I can tell with this game, is they're really, really, really pouring into a ton of lore and history into the fact that Quidditch is this global sport and how you can play different versions of it and different positions of the team and different teams from around the world in the Harry Potter lore. From what and what's really interesting is it's not a free to play game. So they're taking the chance of making this a retail version, I think a cheaper version, maybe 30 or 40 bucks, and they're not doing all of that paid extra content. So for me, that speaks a level of confidence and commitment that they just want this to be a great game, not just injecting it with all this free to play crap, which we see too much of nowadays in the live service genre. This is just a game that's meant to be fun for if you like Quidditch. So I'm just really pumped about this game. It's coming on September 23rd for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. So basically everything. I don't know how it's going to land. The gameplay does look really polished and fun, but listen, if you're a Potter fan like I am and you love all that stuff, it's just another good experience to play. So I will be diving into that one and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm the only thing that really makes me skeptical is I we haven't seen much gameplay on it at all. And I don't, the developer's history isn't, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Developers have breakout hits all the time. But yeah, I'm curious and also kind of skeptical of Harry Potter Quidditch. But you look at Hogwarts and the huge hit that it was. I do not blame WB for doubling down on the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm gonna move on to September 25th,
Mhm.
and this is coming to everything except the Switch, and that is Lollipop Chainsaw. I think Repop is what they're calling it. The remake of Lollipop Chainsaw. I played a couple hours of the original. I I kind of think Lollipop Chainsaw is what people think Stellar Blade is. Like from the outside, people think Stellar Blade's just a really hot chick, and that's kind of the driving force of what makes it compelling. That's what people think from the outside, when in reality, Stellar Blade's like an excellent, excellent video game. I think Lollipop Chainsaw is like, yeah, mostly it's just a hot chick and not the greatest video game. Um, but I don't know. I can't even really say that. I only played a couple hours of the original. I think it's a very weird game to remake. I'm all for it. I don't think uh there's very few games like this on the market. So I do think you have like a niche. I do think you have a section of the market that's not being necessarily tapped into as much. This very, very, very old school. Um, yeah, I don't mind the game's existence whatsoever, but I never could get into it back in the day. But I do think it's a notable release that's coming out in September.
Lollipop Chainsaw was one of the Suda 51 games, right? So
Was
Suda
it?
50, so Suda, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Suda 51, I'm pretty sure did Lollipop Chainsaw, Shadows of the Damned, which is also getting a new version at some point, which
Yeah.
is a great game. And also like the Killer 7, I believe. I could be way wrong, so
No,
please
you're right
correct me.
about.
I'm pretty sure it's Suda 51, unless it's Swery or Swery, I can't remember, but either way, Lollipop Chainsaw. I never played it back in the day because it just didn't that vibe. What people think is the vibe isn't my jam for games, but I have heard it's a really fun game if you can look if you kind of just look past what it's trying to sell itself as.
No,
But
you're
I'm
right. Yeah. Grasshopper, 100%.
yeah,
It's
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Grasshopper manufacturer. Yeah, the developer. So,
huh. I
but
had
yeah,
no idea this was Suda 51. I love Suda 51 games. The like No More
yeah,
Heroes and
yeah.
absolutely.
So that's what I thought, because I remember watching an interview where he was talking about the new Shadows of the Damned like remake or whatever, and then also mentioned Lollipop, but I couldn't remember if it was him. So apparently he's like a super lovely, wonderful like guy, especially in interviews, which is so cool to hear, you know. So
Yeah,
um,
he likes his chicks. He likes his ladies. It's a running theme in all his games.
I mean, it is what it is.
Dude, I would love a Killer 7 remake. I don't know if there's any sort of weird like licensing issues with that. That game was gnarly back in the PS2 era. Um the
Nice.
what was the other one that I played for the first time recently? I always forget the name of it.
Deadly Premonition.
I did play that recently as
Yeah,
well,
I don't
but
think that's Suda, but
no.
that's yeah, but that's a one of those wacky. I can't. Is it the game you're thinking of a Suda game, or is it just something different?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Killer is Dead?
Oh, I'd never even heard of that one. Is that the same type of like
Yep.
Killer Seven vibe?
It's not so much, but it kind of
Okay.
somewhat similar art style. It's more of a hack and slash style game. And
Okay.
yeah, it's so bizarre. Such a weird game. Not one of my favorite Suda 51 titles, but really, really weird.
Nice. Love it. And I love that you just have your massive backlog so you can just easily pull for reference what's right behind you compared to mine, which is just like 20 games. So,
Hey, dude, I'm thinking about scaling way back here sometime
oh,
soon.
geez. Okay. So I'm going to go back just one day and talk about Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, which is coming to basically all consoles on September 24th. This was a really pleasant surprise for me because I love my favorite genre in general is platformers, or our platformers, 3D, 2D, whatever. So I remember playing the original Disney Epic Mickey back on the Wii. I'm pretty sure it was just a Wii exclusive back in the day, at least. I never finished it for whatever reason, just because motion controls on the Wii, as cool as it can be, wasn't my preferred way to play games unless it was Wii Sports. But Disney Epic Mickey was such a cool, kind of darker take on a 3D platforming game, but set in the whole Disney Mickey universe. It's really fun. It's all about using like paint and thinner and how you like interact with the world with like the different styles of paint. It was a bit janky for sure, but it was really fun and whimsical, and it had that Disney vibe, which I really like in games. So to see that they're doing a whole I don't know if it's a remaster remake. I'm pretty sure it's a remaster, or no, excuse me, a remake. It just looks really good because a lot of people didn't play it since it was just Wii. There was a second game in the series, which was fine. It was average, but I'm just excited to play Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed because I want to get back into that world. I want to finish it. I want to play with my wife because she never played it. So yeah, that one, there's just a lot this month for me personally that caters to my style, but this one I'll be getting day one for sure.
Absolutely, man. Heck yeah. I'm curious. I so on September 26th we have Zelda Echoes of the Wind.
No,
How
Echoes of
are,
Wisdom. Echoes of
oh,
Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah. Why did
Yeah.
I write down Echoes of the Wind?
Maybe you're thinking like
Um
Wind Waker or something. I don't know, but
yeah, yeah, maybe. What are you thinking about this? Because I know that you're not like the Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild guy. Is this kind of a little bit more returning to something that you want from Zelda?
it's cool that you asked that because it's something that I was going to touch on when we got there. But anyone that's watched whatever videos I've been in, I've mentioned it before, is I really don't like Breath of the Wild. I really don't like Tears of the Kingdom. And yes, I have Breath of the Wild sitting in there. I bought a Switch for Breath of the Wild. I just personally, I don't think either of those games are good. I don't think they're fun. Even when I step back and look at them, I just don't enjoy them. That being said, I'm a longtime Zelda fan. I love Ocarina of Time. I love Majora's Mask. I love Wind Waker is one of my favorite games. And I even enjoy the 2D one. So Link's Awakening, when they did the remake, my wife and I played that. We enjoyed that thoroughly. So seeing Echoes of Wisdom, which is taking the idea of Link's Awakening, the remake, where you're in a top-down isometric style, but infusing the ideas of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, where you create items and you puzzle solve in your own way as Princess Zelda, not Link, is really intriguing. And I think it's intriguing because it's not set in a gigantic open world where you're just left directionless. That's just how I felt with the other games, is you're directionless. I don't find that fun. Same reason I didn't find Elden Ring fun. I don't like just being set free with nowhere to go. That's just not fun to me personally as a gamer. I can see why people like it. Echoes of Wisdom looks to be a more streamlined, linear, at least semi-linear approach to where you can decide how you want to move forward in the game as Zelda by using those make a table, make an item, make an enemy, and like just do that. But it's more linear. I like that style. So this is one of those games I'll be picking up probably day one to play with my wife because of those reasons. Um, that was a long-winded answer to say yes, I'm excited for it because I didn't jive with Tears or Breath. So
Well, no, I appreciate the context because I was thinking that that probably would be more catering to your play style. I was wondering about that, the freedom within the puzzle solving, if that was something that might be because I didn't really know. I knew that you didn't like the open world aspect, but I didn't know how you felt about the kind of infinite freedom with the being able to kind of create things on the fly and use this to solve a puzzle and use that and a boss battle or combat encounter. So, because those were the things to me that were the most compelling about Tears of the Kingdom, where I'm like, oh my God, I can do anything. Like they're never telling me no. I thought that was just such a satisfying way to solve puzzles that I never really thought about in games where it's like, oh yeah, let's do anything you can think of. And if it works, it works. Like you don't have to do it one specific way. I love that idea so much. So it's cool that they're infusing that into this title.
Brandon, here's the thing. I'm not smart. I'm not creative. I'm really a dummy. And so like when you give me a game like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, I don't know what to do. I need to be held by the hand. I play games on easy or story nowadays. I don't care. I don't have shame. You can say whatever you want in the comments. It doesn't bother me. I don't care anymore. I play games. I want to play them because I want to experience them. And everyone's going to have a different take on that. But for me, being thrown into an open world where I literally just don't know where to go, that's not fun. I want to be told where to go. I'm sorry. I'm one of those people in open world games that would rather have a marker, a
Oh,
checkpoint. I know
without a
that's
doubt.
but I know that's not what people want to hear nowadays. Again, that's why these games are good. The Breath, the Wilds, the Tears, Elden Ring, Dragon's Dogma 2, right? We talked about that. People don't want to be handheld. I'm the exact opposite. I want you to tell me exactly where to go. And that way, if I want to go there, I'll go there. If I want to do something else, I still know exactly where to go. For me, that's fun. But so Echoes of Wisdom looks like it'll give you that. Here's where you go and do XYZ. That's where you go, but you can do it in a different way. To me, that sounds more engaging than just, well, here you go, figure it out. That's not fun to me personally.
Dude, I could not agree more. I agree 1000. I don't, difficulty is whatever. Because I was like Dragon's Dogma 2, I love, it's my favorite game of the year. And, but and there are points of that game where it's just not telling you where to go. And that is hands down, in my opinion, the worst part of that game. But like for the majority of it, it does kind of give you a good guide on where to go. And like, that's the thing with Elden Ring, where if it just had a little bit more of a slight guide of where to go, or uh, not so much Tears of the Kingdom, but like those style of games, dude, that's the number one thing that will put me off of it. If I don't know where to go, I'm like, all right, well, I'm done. I don't have time to just go and examine every nook and cranny to figure out, oh, okay, I think I need to travel east. And if I oh, okay. I think that like no, dude, hell no. Tell me where to go and let's get on with it. That is the number one thing that'll put me off of a game. So I agree 100% with that sentiment. I also think that we might underestimate how many of us there are versus how many vocal people there are screaming about how they don't want to be handheld and they don't want any kind of navigational help whatsoever. It's like I understand if you want Elden Ring to be extremely excruciatingly punishing, like cool. I don't mind that at all. But like I really do wonder if I don't know. Whatever. That's a whole nother tangent for another day. But like I think there might be more of us than we think that are just kind of not screaming on Twitter nonstop.
No, yeah, it's funny. I know we don't want to go on this too long, but it is interesting. And I agree with you completely because there probably are more of us. It's just that silly social thing that people don't want to admit it. I'll
Yeah.
admit it for you then. It's okay to be handheld in a game. It's okay to play on story mode. You just play how you want to enjoy the experience. Like we need to get past this thing. Like, oh, you can like so many videos I make from like my jobs and things. People in the comments are always like, oh, this guy showed gameplay of him playing on easy. Like, who cares? Just play the game how you want to play it. So if you're out there and you're ashamed to say that you need to have your handheld, I like to have my hand held in the game. Tell me exactly where to freaking go. This is why games like Dead Space that let you put down the little
Oh,
tracker and tell
greatest
you
feature ever.
exactly where to go. This is where games like Hogwarts Legacy that lets you literally point you exactly where to go with the magical pages. Fable 3 for all the crap that game gets, it tells you exactly where to go. Those things need to be in games. You don't have to use them, but they're there for us that like them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to like have your handheld. Ah.
Well, it's funny you bring up Fable. I just downloaded Fable 2. I'm about to
Ooh.
play Fable 2 for the first time, but uh,
Oh man, it's so good. Okay,
I've never played Fable 2. Played
nice.
Fable, I've never played. Anyways, the damn it, that's I shouldn't have said anything about Fable until I got the other point out because now I'm losing my. Oh,
No.
it's like, dude, life is brutal. Life is brutal for 99% of people. So it's like, why do we? And maybe there is something cathartic about your hobby being even more brutal, so you can forget about life. Like, and I can understand if that kind of fits with certain people, where it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna punish me here, and that way I can deal with life. Like, if that works for you, fine. But that doesn't work for me. Like my hobby, I want that to be a bit of a release, something where I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't hell. For this 2 hours, I'm gonna escape hell. For 2 hours, just let me escape hell. And I don't know. Regardless, once again, a different topic for a different day.
Yeah.
But I only
Hey.
have one more game left on my September list. How many do you have?
No, that was the last one. I was going to just mention Zelda quickly, but so yeah, go ahead, man. I don't have any other ones that are popping off. So
September 27th. Ray Nodis, I believe is how you say this. I have no idea.
I don't
Coming to
know.
PlayStation, Switch, and PC. The thing that really sells me on this is the setting. So often RPGs, it's a big, open, empty fantasy world like we've just been talking about here. And, it's filled with these plains of just nothingness. For miles and miles and miles, you'll look and see absolutely nothing. And which, is fine, but this is in Shibuya, Japan. And the city just looks so sleek. It's like a populated a city, a RPG set in a city environment, which is just so rare. So immediately I'm like, okay, this is compelling to me. This is interesting to me. And they're not going for like an overly realistic look. So I think it adds a little bit of charm there. It looks a little bit budget. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of has seventh gen energy, PS3 360, but it's an action RPG. Combat looks quick and snappy, and I think the thing that's the most interesting to me about this game is the story setup is really really intriguing. You are it kind of reminds me of like the X-Men, where you have these powers. You're like these wizards or whatever. But the city, the people in the city fear you having these powers. So like I guess there's like laws established or something that outlaws you from using these powers, and then you're trying to fight back against that. And I don't know, that it's a compelling story. It seems different in a lot of areas from most RPGs on the market. So Ray Nodis coming out September 27th, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. And that is it for
Nice.
my list.
That's awesome, man. That sounds like a cool one. I've never heard of that. This is what I like about doing this is you'll often shout out ones that I've never even heard of, like this Reynaudis one, and hopefully that's vice versa. So that's a lot, man.
Definitely.
There's it's crazy how many games people that complain about there's not enough games. I'm like, dude, there's like freaking always new games, whether it's the tiniest $2 game to the $70 ones. There's always something to freaking play. It's great. So
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you have bigger years, lesser years. I don't think 2024 is like a 2023 year or anything
yeah,
like that, but it's still when you start really looking in and if you try to dig through the weeds a little bit, find a couple of those hidden gems, there's a lot out there to dive into. And I think
yeah.
I really do think whenever we get back together to collab around October or so, late September, I think we're going to have a lot to talk about because I think the back half of this year is going to be loaded.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Well, and what's cool is too is the games we talk about and what's on this list are really just a fraction. There's
Yeah.
new games that come out every day, especially on like PC or the digital shops. Obviously, we want to champion the physical because I know how much you love that, but there are the digital only releases that just get overlooked and pass by. So, we're only mentioning a fraction. So it'd be cool to hear if anyone in the community knows of games coming up the next few months that, like, either A, we didn't talk about, or B, are coming up that are going to be smaller, more under the radar. Because the more people that can find them, it's not only going to help the developers who are creating them, but give us other fun things to play. So definitely let us know. That'd be cool.
Absolutely, dude. And also, I want to quickly shout out the Indie Informer. So this is a ex Game Informer employee. I believe her name is Jill Grote, and she started up this site, and it's strictly dedicated to indie games. And I'll actually link this as well. It's the exact same kind of structure and layout as the Game Informer list, but it's nothing but indie titles. So
Nice.
I'll link that. I often use that as a guide for what's coming out as well. So I'll link that as well because like you said, dude, there's so much in the indie market that gets overlooked that's like genuinely great titles that just get totally slept on because they don't have the marketing budget. So absolutely, man.
Yep.
Appreciate you for joining me, my brother. This was a real fun chat, and we shall be back with something sometime
Yeah.
fairly soon. So appreciate all you good people out there for tuning in, and we shall see you in the future. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. See you later. Bye.